Well, let's get right to it. I have a feeling we've got a handful of people who are doing Mother's Day things tonight. And so a lot of people will be catching the replay. I have a couple of quick announcements. So first announcement is that there are a handful of us who are going to do a plate challenge this week. So plate challenge isn't new. All of you guys have done some version of it before. But if you want a little, let's just see what it feels like to really do it and not be complacent about it or kind of like haphazard, there's a handful of us that are going to do it this week. And the goal is two Fitme plates a day, 30 minutes of intentional movement, and hit your water. That's it. 7 days. If you haven't done that in a while, I want to challenge you to do it because it will show you how much different you feel when you actually hit your water. It'll show you how different it feels to be intentional about your vegetables. Now, some of you guys might be doing this anyway. You're like, this is my go-to. This is how I'm making progress. But for some of us, we get in this kind of like in-between place where we're kind of doing the things, but we're not really doing the things. And every once in a while, it's just nice to really buckle down and do it for real. So if you want to do it with us, it's not an all or nothing thing. It is, if you mess up, you just keep going. It's not a big deal. However, I want to challenge you to see what it feels like to do 7 days, starting tomorrow and then go through Sunday. I just got a text from Jenna, who is one of longtime Fitme clients. She's been with us for over 2 years. And she was texting me a picture of her dinner and just some wins over the weekend. And I said to her, you're doing an amazing job. And I was like, I'm not just saying that. It's not just like coach voice telling her that. And she goes, thank you. A foundation of 2 years of Fit Me habits through different seasons and abandoning the all or nothing mindset coming in clutch. And so just when you think like it's kind of routine or it's just the same old things, think of these as like opportunities to practice in different seasons, maybe times when you can be like more on point, other seasons where you have to give yourself more grace, sometimes where you're going to be like, yep, a little win is perfect for today. Other times when you're going to be like, you know what, this is a season where I really want to push myself and I want that, extra oomph. That's what that means, like taking the habits and going in different seasons and abandoning all or nothing mindset. And so in the spirit of that this week, we're going to be doing that little mini plate challenge. We also have a lot of new people who are not Fitme clients. They're just in the free community and they're going to be participating too. So if you see them trying, give them encouragement. One of the things that's so special about Fitme is our emphasis on community and supporting each other. And sometimes people are like, I don't know what this is. Is this a Fitme plate? And they're just doing their best. And so give them some encouragement, tell them what works for you. That way we can all like help each other. So that is announcement number one. Announcement number two is pre-registration for the event is open all through this month. You can still save $100. But what I want to tell you about the event is not the $100 savings. What I want to tell you is that last weekend I went to, it was called Guns and Geese. If you saw it on my Instagram or on Facebook, I went to New Orleans for the weekend to shoot guns and to do jujitsu with strangers. And I don't shoot guns. I do jujitsu, but not typically with a bunch of strangers. And so this was super outside of my comfort zone. But what was amazing about the weekend, and the reason I wanted to tell you this, is because I have attended every kind of event under the sun. So I've gone away for certifications, so many that you can't count. I have gone away for business retreats. I've gone away for wellness women's workshops. I've traveled for competitions. I've done all sorts of traveling to places for a weekend kind of thing. And there have only been 2 events in my entire time of traveling that have ever stood out to me as like life-changing. And one was this past weekend, doing this thing that was so hard and outside of my comfort zone. And the other one was last year's Fit Me weekends, both the Maryland and the Washington one. There are plenty of opportunities to go do personal development. There's a million of them. There are not many opportunities for you to have your, the way that you feel, the way that you view the world, the way that you like feel alive changed. This event is specifically for you if you are looking to grow and to be better and to be different and be connected. And it was so wonderful being at this thing this past weekend because it was a completely different setting than Fitme, totally different than like what we do, but it had some of that same magic where like the people that I met that weekend, they're going to be my friends forever. And that's what the Fitme events were like too. It was like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, this is the closest thing I've ever been to that's like Fitme. And if you came to the events last year, you know that that's the case. Like we laughed, we cried, we did all the things, we learned stuff, we connected in a way that wasn't just your like average weekend. And so if you want to be a part of something really special for you this year, that's what you should sign up for. That's why you should sign up. That's why you should set aside the weekend to travel. That's why you should, do all of the things that make, you got to do when you travel. It's not easy. You might have to take time off work. You might have to get extra childcare for the kids. You might have to save up some extra money. But what you get for yourself from doing that, the connections that you'll make, the friendships, plus the way that you will, again, see things different in a better way, like growing as a person, is worth it. I wouldn't tell you to do it if it wasn't worth it. And so it's September 16th through 18th. Circle the dates on your calendar and then sign up. So again, pre-registration goes through this month and then registration will go until all spots are filled. But it's going to be life-changing for the people that come, and not in like the hokey motivational kind of way. If you went last year, you can test it. You can give that like story that some people were like, I thought it was going to be one of those like motivational, like kind of events. And it wasn't anything like that. It was about connection and about learning and growing and doing it together. But that is what is ahead, September 16th through 18th. So start making your plans now. It's not that far away. And if you want to bring somebody, bring somebody. It is primarily for Fitme clients, but if you're like, somebody needs to come, then tell them to sign up. It can be their first exposure to Fitme. That's totally fine. So that was announcement number 2 about pre-registration. And last but not least is you guys will see next week, not this coming up week, but the following week, we are going to be doing a very special giveaway. It's going to be our helper giveaway. We're going to be giving away a spot in Fitme, a full scholarship spot for someone in one of the helper professions. So we're looking for someone who is in like the medical space, nurse, PT assistant, med tech, doctor, something in that category, or a teacher, or anything in the educator category could apply for this giveaway. And so you guys will see that go live a week from tomorrow. So if you know somebody, if you have somebody in your life who is in one of those helper professions who should apply, we're going to give away one spot. And so make sure you send that to them or tell them to join the Facebook group. And I think that's it for announcements. Let's get right to it. So our topic tonight is going to be on how to ask for help. And I know that's kind of a funny one, but oftentimes the people who are drawn to Fitme, I have found the ones who join us, and who are finding themselves in this place where they're like, I haven't done a great job taking care of myself, often are not great at asking for help without attaching guilt to it. And so typically when we're like, oh, I need help, we feel really bad about it. And so I wanted to bring that up on the call tonight because that is such a key part of what we're doing together. And I wanted to talk about different ways that you can ask for help and how you know that you should. We've talked about this before in terms of coaching and accountability. Like, how do you ask for accountability? When do you ask for accountability? Asking for help's a little bit different because you know that you're struggling. And first off, that's a hard thing to say out loud. I am struggling with this. And then asking for help, whether that is from a coach, your community, or your family, is sometimes vulnerable because what if they don't help? Really is the truth. What if they're like, no, What if they're like, why can't you just figure it out? Or what if they think some things? So there's all sorts of what ifs that get in our head when we ask for help. But becoming self-aware and knowing what seasons that you need extra help in is a part of learning to take care of yourself in a way that lets your body thrive. So if you're like, yep, in this season where I am obligated at church, I'm obligated here, I'm obligated this place, I'm obligated this place, I have all of these things and I know it, and I do a, less good job of eating well, it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to identify that as a season where you don't have to attach guilt, but instead say, like, I need some help with this. Perhaps it might be easier to ask for help from your coach or from like your homies in Fitme, where you've got this friendship. Maybe the hard one is asking your family for help or for support. Sometimes they can be the people that provide the most resistance. So for example, like if you're trying to get meal prep done for the week and you are doing it all by yourself all the time and everybody's working against you in the house, it might be something where you feel like you're struggling, you're struggling, and you feel resentful to the people who aren't supporting you, but you haven't asked yet for help. And so again, this is kind of a funny one, but it's really, really important because if we want to change our routines and we know that life's not always going to be super easy, we actually need to build the habit of asking for help sometimes when we need it. Most people are happy to help you, actually. Even if we think they're going to think some kind of way, they usually don't. They're usually happy to help. But a lot of times we just suffer in silence or feel frustrated. And just like drinking water is a habit, just like moving our bodies 30 minutes every day is a habit we should build, just like eating vegetables and eating protein at our meals and like all of those good things are really great habits. Being able to ask for help when we need it is a habit to build. And so I just kind of wanted to open this up for conversation, actually, and give us the opportunity to talk about it and hear maybe if you guys have examples in your life where you've struggled with this, you don't do a great job asking for help, or maybe you've developed this skill set already and you practice building this habit. Maybe you have an example that someone else could use where asking for help really mattered for you. So what are your thoughts?
Okay, it's really windy where I'm at. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good, Brenda.
Okay. Sometimes I don't necessarily have a hard time asking for help, but what help do I need? And so the reach out sometimes is just kind of even this, that you're struggling, and like coach or accountability buddy or Fitme friend or family member or friend. It's helped me to, I just kind of say what I have going on and I know that I'm struggling, and then they help me put things in line. Coach Molly has done a fantastic job tying in with the fact that I started with an ADD coach back in February, and she's taken what my Fitme group has done for me and tied it in and given me the time to adjust and try to get some processes going. And then now we're just building off of that. And it's amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a good point, Brenda, is that like sometimes it's just reaching out and not necessarily having the answer, but having somebody to have a conversation with can be the most helpful thing. Anybody else have thoughts on this topic?
Hey, it's Annette. How are you?
Hi, Annette.
Um, I was gonna say being in the military is really hard at times to ask for help because you're, I guess, sometimes expected to figure things out on your own or, you know.
Yeah.
And so I always have a hard time asking for help, but working with my coach Amy, um, I'm getting better at it. It's just now I'm having a hard time sometimes following through after after I ask for help and they offer help. And um, so like I've been really bad at, communication. So I think Coach Amy got tired of me not answering her. And now she said, now it's your turn to reach out to me to ask for help. And, and so that was 2 weeks ago. I've been doing a better job at it, but just wanted to bring up because of my profession, it's ingrained in me for the last 20 something years. Hey, figure it out on your own. Sometimes it looks bad when you ask for help. So I don't know if anybody else in the military in this group has the same feelings.
Well, and that when you said that, it made me like laugh, like we were indoctrinated, like message to Garcia, go figure it out.
Yeah.
But I think in a lot of professions, it is taught that like asking for help is something we should be ashamed of, or something we like are being lazy, or we should have the ability to do something. And I'm not saying that couldn't be the case, but often we just translate that into all areas of our life. And oftentimes, if we do ask, people want to help. And so we'll kind of just say that we're not, and I thought it was interesting the way you said that, because it was like Amy has encouraged you to reach out and ask, but asking is hard if you've practiced not asking. So if you're like, I had no idea how to do X, Y, and Z, but I didn't ask, I figured I would just figure it out, but then I just didn't do it. The asking for help was actually the hard part. It would have forced you to do it, which would have been a hard thing anyway. Like if you've got a lot of challenges stopping you from doing it, following through once you get the direction is like the second half of it. Interesting. I bet you're not the only one though that has like a profession that discourages asking for help. This topic is so hard that it's hard to even talk about like on this call. Everybody's like, I don't want to talk about asking for help.
I don't have a problem asking for help generally, especially when it comes to my health. I'm very open to asking for it. My issue is the follow through.
Okay.
Because I have to follow through on my end. And if you don't, so I have to take responsibility there.
Give me an example. You and Annette both said the same concept. So tell me what you mean.
Well, like following through with something as simple as drinking water. If you know that you're supposed to have 75 ounces, you have to follow through and drink that 75 ounces. My biggest issue lately has been with the whole camping thing and not eating out, going to town and eating out, but eating what we bring instead. And so that's my issue right now. That's where I need to follow through, and I haven't. So our next trip is, instead of 3 days, it's going to be 7 days. So hopefully it will be easier on a longer trip to follow through.
So is the part that's, I guess what I'm saying is like, did you ask for help on a strategy, like for what to do for camping? Because that part was easy. But now that you kind of have the strategy, it's difficult to follow through on it?
Yes.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Well, and it's harder when you're dealing with a husband who wants to not eat what you bring. So I have another person who's influencing my decisions because I don't I hate to use willpower, but I don't have the strength to say no when he wants to go to town to get food.
Have you asked him for help in supporting you on your goals?
Yes, and he's getting better. So there is improvement. It just needs to improve more. And now that I've taken before and after pictures from when I started and to a couple days ago, and he can see the difference in the pictures, I think that helps give him more encouragement to help me.
Mm-hmm. I feel like the easier thing is like the asking for help, like from your coach potentially, you know, hey, can you help me with a strategy? Or hey, can you help me figure out what my targets are or what I should be doing? The harder one is like what you just identified, which is potentially asking for help from a partner, a spouse, a family member, or whatever to support you. Will you help me and support me by doing X, Y, and Z? And so it sounds like he is doing it, but you'll probably have to ask him for help again since you're not, you know, it's not enough quite yet.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
It's a work in progress.
Yes. I feel like asking for help and confidence kind of go together, to be honest, which makes them tricky. Because when you're confident in an area, like for example, like if I was, you know, if I walk into a gym setting, pretty confident in there. I've been coaching for years. If I was confused, I would just ask for help and I would do it confidently. Hey, can you help me figure this out? Or can you help me with whatever? That confidence makes that easier. And potentially in areas where we don't feel confident, it's harder to ask for help. There's just some more, and we're also in a position where we're potentially in more need of help. So like you're saying, like when you're in this situation where you need your family to help you with something by supporting you, maybe by being willing to like not have certain things in the house, or maybe by taking on certain responsibilities so that you can allocate your time differently. Like that's a hard ask, especially when you're not quite confident yet, you know? So you're like still figuring out like my healthy routines and I'm still figuring out my exercise routines. And so that confidence piece can make that hard.
Yeah, I agree.
Anybody else have ideas on this topic or have an example maybe of like where they did ask for help with something that they were struggling with for a while, but once they asked for help, it got easier?
Hey, Christy.
Hey, Nicole.
Hey. One of the areas that I struggle with is the perfectionist mindset or personality. So I didn't realize just how severe it is until probably this last year, where I've been struggling with anxiety. And a lot of it is tied into just my perfectionist mentality at work and in a lot of things that I do. So I've, drive myself crazy, and I typically don't ask for help because I have a certain way that I want things done. And the perfectionist in me is like, well, by the time I explain to someone how I need something done, or whether it's at work or at home or anywhere, I can just get it done. Mm-hmm. So I kind of set myself up not for failure in some instances because I overdo it, or I'm exhausted, or something that someone else can't do at work, I'm doing. I'm not getting done because I'm doing something that I can probably delegate. So I've been working on a big project for the last, I would say, 2 months. And I needed to get some information to one of my colleagues so they can get something for their job done. And I said, you know what? It's just a lot of research and just compiling up data. So I reached out to one of the admins in my office to see if she can help me. And I created a spreadsheet. So all she had to do was go to different websites and put the information in. And I asked her, and she's like, oh yeah, no problem. And I said, well, can you get it back to me by Friday? And this is on like Tuesday morning. She's like, oh yeah, that's not a problem at all. And so I was like, oh, that was easy, and I wasn't expecting her to be so willing. But, when I went to her office, she was working on like a happy birthday banner, probably for her kid. Meanwhile, I'm like, got 10 spreadsheets open and 30 windows, research and stuff, trying to get things done. So it definitely helped. Now I had to kind of go in and fix some things, but it just gave me a little bit of relief from the anxiety that I was feeling by delegating and getting away from that perfectionist that I'm the only one that can do this job type mentality.
Mm-hmm. I think it's an amazing example because sometimes we can like feel like, oh, well, I could use some help, but it's too hard to even ask. So I'm not going to ask.
Yeah.
And then if I do ask for help, it's not going to be done the way I want it, like you said. And then but at the same time, being overwhelmed. And again, like think about it, like what's it costing you if you're not delegating or asking for help? Like what if you have to stay late, you don't get to go to CrossFit, or what if like you're stressed out and now you're like feeling stressed and you're just like, screw it. I don't have the brain capacity to say no right now to that because I'm stressed from work. So it does cost us something when we don't ask for help, especially when we could identify things that maybe the easier things, like you said, it wasn't like everything off your list, but it was like, what, this thing, she can do it. I just need to put this together and ask her.
Yeah.
I feel like the trick is asking for help before we get overwhelmed and tapped out.
Yeah.
And that's the part that's maybe takes that's tricky because we don't know when we're going to get to that point.
Yeah. I've been at that point for some time. Like me. Okay. Yep. He has a Spider-Man suit on too, right? Sorry, I'm a little guy. He has a Spider-Man costume on. But yeah, I think I've definitely been at that point for a while. And it was starting to, like, I have been sleeping. I'm waking up at like 3:30, 1:30 in the morning and not getting back to sleep. So I think you're right. Getting to that point of knowing when is too much and delegating or asking for help before it gets to that level. Like, one of the things I was stressing about was like, oh man, I don't have the boys signed up for any sports yet. And so I typically do that for my boys. And I said, you know what, I can't do it all, so I reached out to my husband saying, listen, I need you to do some research and find some activities for the boys. And, you don't have to sign them up. Let's just talk about it. I just need the information. So I'm doing better in using my resources and, as you say, the village, because I typically just put it on my back and get it done. But, the anxiety is not allowing me to do that anymore.
I think is, again, like another really great example. It's not like, oh, like, will you help me do this workout or will you help me like make this healthy choice? It's like, will you help me with this thing that's maximum, like adding to my stress pile? And at least that little bit of relief will help me in general. Because we're creating capacity and space when we ask for help. But oftentimes, I could even hear as you were describing it, it's like, well, you normally take care of it. Like you feel the pressure, you want to take care of them and get them signed up for sports, and you usually research it and you usually do all the things. And it's like, well, it's on you. But it sounds like he was totally willing to help. I mean, you had to explain it to him, but ultimately it's one less thing for you to be stressed out about. And maybe that's everyone's target for the week is, if you are someone who is like carrying everything on your back all the time, then pick something either to take off your plate, like make space, ask for help with something that that there's people in your support system or in your universe that could help you, and ask for help. Take one thing off your plate, or at least make it lighter. And if you need help with that, then reach out to us. Like, this is an important part of like boundaries, but also just creating space for healthy habits is identifying the things that are taking up too much of your attention, and too much energy, and like removing them or bringing them down where they belong. The last thing I'll say is, if you could succeed in doing this week and ask for help in one category, it tends to feel good. And you're like, oh, well, I could do this somewhere else too. So I dare you, go ahead and do it and try. I'm going to do it too. There's plenty of things for me that this would apply to. And so I'm going to take on this little, mini target this week too. And certainly in the category of the things that we do in Fitme. We're talking about asking people in your life for help or eliminating stressors, but in the category of things in Fitme, like anything from workouts, nutrition, how to cook something, how to lift something, how to stretch, how to work out, how to eat different, whatever, how to talk to yourself differently. Do not wait to ask for help. The time that is wasted in just feeling like you shouldn't ask, or that maybe what if somebody thinks something, or I should be able to figure this out on my own. Don't wait to ask. Ask as soon as it's real to you that you could use some help with something. It is absolutely what we are here for. And if you need help with something that is just general, ask in the community. People are waiting for the opportunity to help and support each other. And so don't ever feel like you're alone and that help isn't there. And if we can't help you and it's something you ask us, then we'll find someone who can. We'll find what you need and make sure that you get the support you need. But this is your target for the week. Think about this concept. Find one place that you can either ask for help or take something off your plate to make space for you. For all the mamas out there, happy Mother's Day. And for those of you who got to spend time with your mamas, happy Mother's Day. And for those of you missing your mamas, we're thinking of you. I know there's a handful of people who that's the case for them right now. And today's a hard day, and we love you and support you too. And so hope everybody has a fantastic week. If you need anything, just reach out, but we'll talk soon. Bye, guys.
Bye. Happy Mother's Day to you too.
Yeah.